Hello and welcome to Let's Boop Snoots. My name is Vero. And my name is Heidi. Just kidding. Heidi is not here today to record this episode because she is driving across the country. So she's far, far away right now. But we do have a special guest. At least I think this guest is super special. His name is Hugh, and he is my boyfriend. Hello, Hugh.
Hi there.
How's it going?
Today's good.
Good. As opposed to yesterday?
Every day is good.
Every day is good. So Hugh is on the podcast today. We're going to talk about his previous experience with dogs prior to getting Ralph, his previous idea of what it was to get a dog, to get a puppy, and the process of that, and then the experience of getting a puppy from a breeder.
Great.
So are you ready to boop some snoots?
I guess so. I think we're doing a two-part. Is that what I was told?
Yes, we're going to be doing a two-part. So today we're going to focus on like your previous views of what it was to get a puppy, your experience with getting puppies or having dogs, and then your experience with getting Ralph.
Essentially, it's Ralph BC, and then we'll do a Ralph AC.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So some of our listeners might know this already from previous episodes. As a child, I've had puppies, I've had dogs. As an adult, I had Wiggum. I got him when he was 8 weeks. So I have different experiences with different dogs, like getting an adult dog, getting a puppy. Hugh's experience is a little bit different. So he's going to share that experience with us.
Yeah, so I have never really owned a dog per se. We had a dog for a short stint in college. I went and picked up the dog, but essentially we shared responsibilities within our house. We had a husky, a Siberian husky.
Okay.
His name was Yukon. He was on an ad, like a Kijiji ad, and I saw it, and then I kind of made the executive decision to pick up this dog. But prior to Yukon, I've never owned a dog.
Have you owned any other animals?
I've never owned it. Like my sister had a rabbit, but I don't think that's the same as owning a dog, right?
Yeah. And when you say we had a dog, who are you referring to?
So it was me and like my roommates. So there was three of us, and we kind of shared responsibilities because obviously I was in college, and he'd be kept in the house. So that's what I meant by own.
Okay. And how was this dog when you got him? Did he require any training? Was he already coming in trained?
So he was kept outdoors.
Okay.
He was he kept outdoors his entire life. We went to college around an area called North Bay, and around that area there's a pretty well-known kind of husky farm where they would breed huskies. You every time if you drive up the road, the highway leading up to it, you would notice that there's this big kind of farm with a bunch of small houses with a bunch of huskies tied to the house. So it's just that area is just known for kind of that breeder. I'm not sure if he's a breeder itself, but they just had a bunch of huskies, and I guess a lot of the huskies that come, if you were to own a husky, you'd probably own it from that farm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And knowing what you know now about selecting a reputable breeder and then seeing this ad on Kijiji, how do you feel about this breeder now? Do you feel like he was a good breeder?
Well,
or it's hard to
I didn't.
tell?
No, I was very lucky that I had you. You had a lot of experience with getting a dog. Like I said, I have very minimal experience. I kind of assumed or thought that whenever you wanted to get a dog, we would just go to the dog store and pick up a dog. I'm not sure why I thought that. In my mind, I just thought that that's just a normal process. Like it's more like that dogs are when you were to get a dog, it'd be more often that you would just go to the pet store and pick it up. And that's just because I'm I'm new to the whole dog owning and the dog process. And like I said, I got my dog, a Yukon, through Kijiji, and a small part of me thought that as well. Like I didn't know that we would go through the breeder route and how common it really was. And yeah, so that it's like that process was just new to me.
Yeah. Well, when the first dog that we had at my parents when I was younger, we got at a pet store. So, I mean, that's definitely a way to get a puppy. Uh, that dog became very ill within a few days of having it. He had parvo um, and passed away within days. And then our second dog we got through an ad in the newspaper. So these are all ways of getting dogs. And I mean, these dogs need homes, right? They're just, they're not from, most of them are not from reputable breeders. They're puppy mills or they're dogs that are imported from overseas or from anywhere, really. So you don't know what you're getting. But it's hard because, these dogs do need homes and you know that you can provide a good home to that dog or puppy.
It took a pretty hands-off approach to this dog. We discussed having a dog, and because I knew that you were just more familiar, I just kind of leaned on your expertise with this whole process. Again, I didn't know what to expect. If I didn't have you, and anyone that's, if you think about it, that's going to commit to such a big responsibility should do a bit more research. And maybe that was just on me for not researching as much, but I just, like I said, I leaned on you to do these things for us and to pick the right dog.
Yeah.
Um, I got to do all the fun things about it. I got to essentially pick the breed. Um, it felt like I chose the breed. Um, it almost felt like I chose the time frame and when to get the dog. And we would brainstorm names too, and it almost felt like I chose the dog. So a small part of me has always thought that you somehow tricked me into this whole dog thing. How given that it's a big responsibility, we don't have kids, and it's just you and I, and we recently just bought a home right around the time that you were discussing about a dog. Or, like I always knew that you were going to get a dog, but it's one thing to say that we're going to get something and then actually do it,
Yeah.
especially because everything has been so new. And, I remember you asking, like, how long or when we thought we would get a dog. And, I think given the situation of the house, being new homeowners, and then uh, you going through schooling, I thought that next summer would be the best time. And then just even like just dog breeds, I think that you were just happy to get a dog. Like I don't
Yes.
think that you were really particular, given not having a dog and me not having any experience, more like, hey, is there a certain breed that you would like? And, I named off a couple breeds, German Shepherd or a Golden Retriever, which ultimately we chose a Golden Retriever, and then just brainstorming names. And again, we landed on a name that I kind of chose. So a small part of me has always thought that, you kind of orchestrated this whole entire dog thing, but really at every decision point, it was kind of my decision, but really not my decision. You know what I mean?
If I ask you, so Hugh, what breed would you get? And I was like, please say golden retriever, please say golden retriever. He said golden retriever, yes.
Did you? Sorry, I guess never really having that conversation. Did you always want a golden retriever? Was the dog that you wanted?
I think so, yeah, because I had a Labrador retriever. Although Wiggum was very different, for listeners that have listened to previous episodes, Wiggum was very, very mellow, like almost too mellow.
Yeah,
Not quite a Labrador retriever, but a really good temperament. He didn't care about, people pulling his ears, his tail. I kind of called him the no care bear sometimes. I wanted to stay within that temperament. So golden retrievers would definitely be the second breed. They'd be very similar.
yeah. And like I said, like you know, leaning more. I'm sure that even if I were to have chosen, you know, I don't really know dogs as well, like, a pit bull or a Great Dane. Think that because there was a specific dog in your mind, like, I don't think that it ever would have got to a point where we would have chosen like maybe a small dog, right? I think you kind of had a kind of specific dog in mind, right? And it was just fortunate that one, I chose that dog, and two, I'm just indifferent about dogs. Even if I think, let's say, when you were to ask me what kind of dog I'd want, I said, a wiener dog. I think you still would have swayed me into a golden retriever. So,
You're like, are you sure? Because,
yeah,
wiener dogs have back problems. Okay, what's the next one?
yeah. So,
Are you sure about golden German shepherds? Because they have a lot of hip problems. Okay, what's the next one?
for sure. So, I think no matter what avenue I chose, eventually would have gotten to a golden retriever or something similar, right? So really, now that I say it out loud, it was just all your decisions, which is fine because ultimately we got Ralph, and he's a wonderful dog.
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
Little cuddle bug.
yeah. That's also something that I never really thought about. Just given my personality, like I was never really a cuddly person. Anything that kind of maybe just inconvenienced me, I've never really thought about it. And I'm not saying anything about like being selfish. It's just the concept of having such a big responsibility, and knowing that it's like a small child, and sometimes I think people don't really take account the gravity of the situation where when you adopt a dog, like it's a big deal, and some people
Hmm.
just do it because it's cute, or do it because they they think they want one, and then when they get it, um, it's too much. Just like how I'm not sure if you spoke about Mochi on this podcast or not, and that's how my sister got her current puppy, which is Ralph's best friend. So we got Ralph, and not too long after, my sister got a puppy as well. I'm not sure the breed,
A Samoyed.
a Samoyed, and she acquired that dog because the previous owner got the Samoyed and realized it was just too much work. And then because my sister had a dog and was looking for another dog, um, they offered it to my sister, and she took it. And that's the thing is like I maybe was over thinking that would be a lot more work. So maybe just a bit of you know me being scared to kind of have a dog, right? It's one thing to have an adult dog. Yukon, he was about 5 years old. He wasn't house trained, but I think that he knew that because he was kept outside, that he would go to the washroom outside.
Yeah.
And like I said, my sister had a dog, and like I know that like they train the dog. Like she's always had small dogs, so they did the pee pad training method,
Yeah.
and I just didn't want like being in a new home, dogs to pee everywhere and all these things that it's just maybe because I was just worried that I didn't, know what it was like to own a dog. So I was a little scared. And like I said, I'm glad that I had you because you really, handheld me through this entire step, right?
Hmm.
You know, and I think it helps too because Ralph has been such a good dog,
Yeah. And I
and
think,
it's been easy.
yeah, so like we've done some pretty good training with them, like right off the start. And golden retrievers, they just have like this really good temperament where they just want to please their human, and they're food driven. So it's an easier breed to train. Just like his recall. Like as soon as well, most of the time, unless he's with Mochi and they're just tight at the hip. Um, if you say Ralph, come, like most of the time he does. He has pretty good recall.
I'm a little surprised you haven't spoke about Mochi
Yeah,
on the podcast,
yeah,
especially because they spend so much time together.
they do.
Yeah,
Ralph sees Mochi every day of the week, except
Yeah,
for Saturday, Sundays, sometimes even a Saturday or a Sunday.
I think it's nice too that he has someone to kind of grow up with.
Yeah, they're like little cousins.
They are attached at the hip, from what I've seen.
Yeah, when we bring them to the dog park and there's other dogs, but it's just Ralph and Mochi just running around.
But yeah, it's just the whole process is just very new to me, and it's it's nice to have someone that has experienced this before to some degree. The entire process you've done, right? Where I have no idea, so I couldn't even imagine if, let's say, there was like someone in my similar situation where we just kind of wung it and just got a dog and just pick breeders. Like I didn't know there was registered breeders, and I didn't know that there was like a waiting period and an application process. It kind of felt like adopting a child. It depends on you know how you want to pursue getting a dog, right? Like there's the easy way where you go on Kijiji or you go to the pet store, and then there's our way, and I'm not saying it's easier or harder, but where we you know picked a breeder, then filled out a form, essentially an adoption form, answered questions, and got put on a list. So, I'm assuming the questionnaire is to filter out poor owners, or
Yeah.
because I couldn't imagine, like I'm sure if we were to put something, some of the questions are very similar to like an adoption agency where they want to make sure that you have the right lifestyle, and if you have experience with dogs. These are all things that I never even thought that was a thing, right?
Yeah.
So it was just a bit shocking to me that there's so much work. And I guess if you were to really want a dog, you would go through these hoops to get a dog, right?
Yeah. And it's a lot of work on the breeder's part, like if they're doing it correctly, to the point where, like, let's say we couldn't care for Ralph anymore, they would take him back. Like, they ask us to give him back and not to just give him away to whoever.
Which again is these are all things in the doggy world that I didn't know, right?
Yeah.
It's such a I guess these breeders have a reputation, and they want to produce like good dogs,
Hmm.
you know so it also speaks volumes to the whole process of like the quality of dogs, I think, right? Where Ralph was from a registered breeder, and they kind of walked us through the steps. Like I said earlier in the podcast, we don't have kids, and it's not like we, you know, went through it like an adoption agency, or it really felt just like the movies where you would go through all those steps where you fill out the form, and then you constantly got updates of where it is, and then you
Then you
got
wait the email of their
yeah,
birth.
yeah, and you got pictures,
Yeah.
and
Pictures
it
every week.
yeah, which maybe it was just me, like it didn't feel very real. Maybe because I was just indifferent about it. Not like I didn't want a dog. I was indifferent. Where you were clearly excited. Every week we'd wait for that Friday
Hmm.
to get update pictures.
Yeah.
Like weeks leading up to getting Ralph. And to me, I just saw a bunch of pictures of just you know, um,
Potatoes.
yeah. And it was nice to see that you were excited about it, and maybe it's just like that dads don't realize that they're dads until the baby comes out, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt. And then whenever we went and got Ralph, it slowly started sinking in. I just knew that like our life would change drastically. I think we've been pretty responsible about stuff. We're not like teenagers. We're a bit older, like we're 90 years old each. No, we're young adults. So, and given that we don't have any kids, I think we foster this lifestyle that I think it was more on my end, like a personal thing where I knew that it would change, right? But yeah, I think I was just content with what we had, and to kind of introduce a big responsibility like a dog, like a baby puppy. into our
Mm-hmm.
lives. I knew it would change. So there's like a bit of a combination of emotions that maybe I didn't portray as well as I could have.
Was there a moment when we got Ralph, more so at the beginning, where you were just like, what did I do?
It was never a specific moment. I think that I'm a generally pretty patient person. So any things that that he did, I just contributed to him being a puppy.
Hmm.
He had a couple little accidents in the house, which is frustrating because I went from, I never thought I would clean up pee or poop on my floors ever in the house, right?
No.
I just assumed that he would pee in a peeing pad, or I just didn't know. I didn't know that we would take him out so frequently, and like all these things that come with owning a dog, right?
Yeah.
Just even the process of going to get Ralph, that in itself, I had mixed emotions. I remember messaging my mom saying that, oh, we're going to pick up a dog, and this is the first time I kind of told her that we were getting a dog. So it was kind of I'm sure shocking to her, like coming up being raised without having a dog, when your son just tells you like, oh, we're getting a puppy, and then she's like, when? It's like 10
In
minutes.
5 minutes.
Yeah, she's used to the concept of one of her kids having a dog, but I guess maybe for me it was a bit shocking for her, and it's shocking for anyone when you just it wasn't like a I didn't kind of ease her into it. I just called her and I said that, hey, we're going to pick up a dog, right? And that process was also new. I had nothing to compare it to, so it wasn't like I had high expectations or low expectations. I was just very neutral going into that.
Yeah. So I made you think. So, how can I say this? I managed to make you think that you were the one selecting the breed. Did I also manage to make you think that you were the one who picked his name?
It
How did we end up on Ralph?
I'm not sure if you've mentioned this on the podcast before. Have you or have you not?
I
I'm
don't
not
think I
sure.
have.
Um, we I think this was actually the fun part. This is the thing. One of the things I enjoyed the most about the process. As dumb as it sounds, it was fun to kind of just throw out random names. We I think it's different with kids, where kids are a bit more. You want to have like a name that like no one makes fun of.
Yeah.
Where with there's almost
And it's all human names, right?
yeah,
Whereas
there's almost no
dogs, you can call him like
anything,
anything,
and there's
objects,
no
and
weird dogs. Like you never hear someone saying that, oh, that's a weird dog name.
yeah.
If anything, any kind of names that are obscured are more praised, right?
Yeah, they're the best
So
names.
yeah, um, and like I said, it was more fun because we led with clown names. So we would Google names for clowns like Bam Bam and like Dopey, and I think that's how we started. So it kind of set the
Yeah.
tone for what we wanted in a
Yeah, I
dog.
think we started with waffles
It was
and
actually.
then bubbles.
So,
And then we were looking at clown names. So we went from like Bam Bam and Knick Knack, all sorts of
and I think that
all
was
sorts of
kind of the
names.
fun part of it, of just kind of choosing and like almost having no restrictions to having a name. And the
Hmm.
even the wackier the name, it kind of just became more fun.
Yeah.
But we landed on a human name. I prefer short one syllable names like Jake or Tim, or like I just always thought that with dogs having those names, that's just more cute. It's more of a cutesy thing for me. I just couldn't imagine a big long like spaghetti head or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing.
Snuffleupagus.
Yeah, but having kind of wanting a short human name. Your old. I never got a chance to meet Wiggum. So Wiggum was your old dog, and he was
Hmm.
named after Chief Wiggum
Yes.
off The Simpsons. So if anyone that's watched The Simpsons knows that his Chief Wiggum's son is named Ralph, and Ralph is one of my favorite characters. Plus, it fits the whole human short one syllable names, and I think that's what we landed on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, that it was just my idea again, or my suggestion. It wasn't my. It
Yeah.
was my suggestion. So all these factors, when you look at them, it just felt like I made all the decisions for this dog, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard to argue that it was at any point your decision or like your influence. I'm sure that we talked about it, but I think that with you just wanting a dog and being open to any kind of dog, I think it was pretty easy to for me to kind of just dictate everything. But really,
Yeah.
was it? Like I kind of always wonder that
I
when I
don't
tell
even
the
know.
story. Yeah,
I
when I
don't
tell the
even
story to my
know.
friends, right? It all kind of thinks that it was my decision.
Sometimes I look at Ralph and I think of all the other names we were going to name him, and it just doesn't fit him.
Ralph is it's a funny. I'm not sure, but maybe it's just me. I notice quite a bit that whenever we walk around the dog parks or dog areas with other dogs and we call his name, everyone always smiles
Yeah.
and
It's
says
like, oh,
like,
that's a good name.
"Yeah, it's a cute name."
Yeah. Ralph. What a cutie. So tell us about the experience of getting Ralph and like picking him up at the breeders.
Oh, the D-Day,
The
Dog Day.
dog day.
Yeah, Dog Day was like I said, I had mixed emotions on Dog Day. Like
So
I had I didn't know what to think. I just knew my life was going to change,
yeah.
but it kind of was overshadowed a bit because you were so excited. I think because you were so excited, I was just more happy that you were happy, but really, I didn't really understand what was happening.
Yeah. So D Day happened sooner than we wanted it to.
Yes,
So
which
we were planning on getting the puppy in the summer. I was completing my master's, which was going to be done in June, so just a month ago, and there were supposed to be some puppies later in the year, but all the females were in heat all at the same time. So they had litters back to back in January and February, and no, December and January. So we got Ralph a lot sooner than we wanted.
yeah, that was kind of a twist that I wasn't
Yeah.
really anticipating.
I was like, is it okay? Is it okay?
Again, like because there's so much emphasis on your excitement for Ralph, and just being busy at work, being a bit more hands off. It just I didn't really kind of take it in quite yet. So I remember D-Day, and I just remember that we were going to drive to the breeders, which is just a little outside of where we lived. And it was about how far? 30, 40 minutes away from us. It
Yeah,
wasn't that far
40 minutes.
to pick up Ralph. And I've always heard, or I've always seen when they put dogs in a pen and then they pick it out. That was something that I admittedly was looking forward to. I didn't know what to expect. Yeah, that's it was
Like
a small part I was looking forward to.
puppy swarming.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing. It was fun
Yeah,
though. Like
it
I tried to
was.
record as much as I could.
I didn't get that experience with Wiggum.
Okay.
So this was different with Wiggum. So we told the breeder what we were looking for, and they matched what we wanted with the dog that they thought was the best fit. When we got Ralph, we got to pick the dog, so we got to see all of the dogs. So when I picked up Wiggum, they took out one dog.
Hmm. It was nice too. We got to be the first to choose from our litter.
Hmm.
I think that was something that we discussed as well. That because we weren't in any rush to pick a dog, we wanted to be the first to pick a dog, so that there was no question that we get to choose the dog that we wanted instead of let's say we were in the middle. And I'm not saying it's the best way or like there's no right or wrong way. It's just for me and maybe for you, it never put into question like let's say we could have had a better dog because we didn't kind of get like the second or the third dog? What were the
Hmm.
other three dogs ahead of us? Well, what would they have been like? You know, so it was nice that we were the first to get the pick, so we got to see every single dog,
Yes.
um, and all their personalities and what
Yeah.
they were looking like. So there was never a question in that we chose the dog, our dog, and there was no other dogs to choose from.
And how did we select Ralph, who was the blue collar puppy? How did we select him out of all the other ones? So we saw the males. We didn't see the females because we wanted a male.
So I was indifferent about which one to pick. There was, I think, specific traits that I wanted in a dog overall. Kind of like a bigger dog. But there was two big factors I think that kind of contribute to us picking Ralph. One, if anyone's seen a picture of Ralph, he has a kind of a big scrunchy nose. It's a very distinct nose, very adorable. And there was two of them that kind of were like that. They're kind of like the bigger ones in the litter,
Yeah.
big boys, which we wanted. But I think the deciding factor was the temperament. So the breeder said that Ralph, or the blue collar dog, he had the best temperament out of all of them, and she noticed that during bathing, whenever she would bathe them, Ralph was the one that was the easiest to bathe. Like he didn't fight. He would just kind of like lay there and kind of like it wasn't hard to bathe him.
Yeah.
Which, if you were to ask, if you would tell me that now and watch him bathe, like he has moments, but I'm sure that's all dogs.
Yeah. He's not too
Okay,
bad, actually.
but yeah, so that temperament was the factor that in
Yeah.
which we chose Ralph.
Yeah. And I remember all the dogs were after me, and I was petting one that was turned on his back, rubbing his belly, and that was Ralph. While all the other ones were like jumping at me, trying to bite my scarf or my jacket or whatever. And Ralph was on his back, or the blue collar puppy was on his back, and I was just rubbing his belly. And I was like, okay, that's the one.
It's nice because there was like we right off the bat had two dogs in mind, just based on looks,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
So it
based on the
wasn't,
pictures.
yeah, it wasn't hard for us to narrow it down at the very beginning, just because of the way his snout was. We had first pick, so we were kind of like extra particular,
Yeah.
maybe. But it was we chose Ralph. Like now when you see his temperament, you can tell that like he rolls on his back. Like he's pretty submissive as a dog,
Yeah.
and he was like that as a puppy, pretty submissive.
Yeah, he's pretty when he gets out of his crate, so we open the door, he waits, and then we say free. Hugh, I don't know if he does that for you, but he'll come out like very excited and then he'll lie down on his back.
That's not how he comes out for me. But we don't have that morning routine.
Okay.
I'm pretty tired in the morning when
You
I
just
let
take
him
him
out.
out.
I just take him outside,
Yeah.
and then when he comes in, I'm lying down and he's kind of, I'm on the couch and just like petting him. He's
What do
pretty
you do
calm.
with Ralph when you're on the couch?
Um, I do stuff that we're not supposed to do, but I don't tell you that we do them. No, it was going to the breeders was it felt so formal leading up to it, but then it kind of felt so almost rushed. I don't know. Again, I didn't know what to expect picking out a dog, right? Like I don't know, there was like a process, but it felt so fast. Maybe because it was like in a time of COVID where it just we also chose Ralph relatively quickly too. Um, there wasn't like a lot of time in between.
Yeah.
We sat down, we both of us unanimously like agreed that this was like dog that we would want within 2 minutes, if that.
Yeah.
And then the moment we picked it, we
It was like paperwork.
yeah signed. I didn't sign anything. Again, you did all that. I feel like I just enjoyed just
Yeah, you
playing
were
with
with
puppies.
Ralph the whole
Hmm.
time.
And so after we chose Ralph, the breeder took the other dogs into the back, and then he was just in the like crate. So I would go in there and play with him while you just gave money and signed the paperwork, and it was like away we went. Like it was
Yeah.
just that straightforward. But leading up to it, it would just seem like there's just maybe it's just the build up, and then the ending was just like just sudden, and it was just over, and then out of nowhere we got a dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice that you wanted to go through that route because I thought that we would, I wanted a rescue dog, and that's not because like if I were to get a dog, which I never thought I would, a lot of my friends wanted to go the rescue route, where
Yeah.
you go and you save a dog. I don't know what other word to use
Yeah.
like that, but
Yeah, definitely.
again, I wasn't opposed to the whole puppy. I think maybe because of the friends that I'm surrounded by, they all have rescue dogs. So, they suggested getting a rescue, and you're doing a good thing, right? But you wanted to experience the puppy experience.
Yeah. I wanted to experience the puppy phase like one more time.
Why is
I'm
that
not
though?
gonna lie, I did not like the puppy shark phase. It kind of stressed me out.
The puppy shark face,
Yeah,
like where he's biting.
the bitey face.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess you get like a clean slate and you get to build that up, right? Whereas a rescue dog, you kind of don't know exactly, you have an idea of like their quirks and stuff that you'll have to work on. But a puppy, you kind of just get a clean slate. And
So
they're
if the
just so
puppy didn't
cute.
turn out well, then it is on the owner. Then
Yeah.
nice.
Yes.
No, it was fun. It was fun. Like it has been fun. Just going through that process, and it's nice to learn about this side of the dog world where a lot of people, as into dogs, maybe as you or have had dogs, we're also in a time of technology where it's a little bit easier. But for me, like I honestly thought that we were just gonna go to the store and pick up a dog. I knew that you were looking into it, but I guess if you weren't around, I would have just picked up a dog at the dog store, right?
Yeah.
But it's been nice. It's nice that the entire process has been it's it's been very smooth too, and I'm sure that contributes to you doing all of the work. You
I was happy to.
yeah. Apparently, you chose the breeder. You swayed me into choosing a breed, and then you essentially picked the dog every detail.
No, you
I
did
joke
all
about
of
that.
that. You
No,
did
I
all of
joked it. Yeah.
that. So looking back, Ralph as a puppy, I mean, he's still a puppy, but the first couple of months at home, what was your favorite thing about Ralph?
Well, I can just briefly talk about it. I think we wanted to do a two-part episode where it was like before Ralph and after Ralph, but I can
Oh,
mention it
right.
lightly. No, it's okay.
The like after Ralph, like right after Ralph.
Yeah, that's fine. No, no. Again, I was just in awe of the situation of like how all of a sudden we have a dog now, having that same mentality of like leaning on you and letting you do everything because you wanted to. It just I just knew that it wouldn't be very hard. I just think
Yeah.
that it was more that I knew that our lives were gonna change more so than like the dog itself. I think that's just the responsible thing to do, or the responsible mindset is that
Yeah.
we're gonna be, having this big responsibility, so to prepare for it
Yeah.
instead of
It's like,
just
is this really what we want?
yeah, instead of just like not like in the moment where
Yeah. It's gonna be fun.
yeah, and maybe because I set that bar that it was gonna be lots of work, and since Ralph hasn't been, from my view, that much work, it's just been such a great experience. And I always tell anyone that I've met that if you were, if you were on the fence, like Ralph is a dog that you would give someone if they were unsure about getting a dog because he's been so easy.
Yeah.
And then having a dog with you because you've made it so easy. Like it hasn't been hard at all. Like it hasn't really disrupted our life in a way that like it deterred me from like getting a not getting a dog anymore. Like now I would get
A
another
second
dog.
dog?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like going from someone that never even thought about getting a dog to now not ever wanting to not have a dog. Like I could not imagine my life without Ralph now, right? Like he's kind of
Yeah.
ingrained in our routine. And yes, when I wake up in the morning, he doesn't come and cuddle me, but it's just nice to kind of have him around. He just
Yeah.
lies around and he's just there.
He's so cute. Like, he wakes us up early in the morning, but when you see him and he's just so happy to see you,
Mm.
it's just like, oh, okay.
He gets away with a lot because he's so cute, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah. He used to bite a lot of stuff, right? But we can definitely talk about all that afterwards
Yeah.
in the
Part
next
two.
episode. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you, Hugh.
Hope that was informative to anyone that never has had a dog before.
Yeah. Who's just kind of like, indifferent and
I think it helps that it's just our personalities, and maybe my personality as well, that I'm very relaxed about stuff.
yeah. And when I got Wiggum, I'm not sure how I decided like to look up breeders and they had to be certified. Like somebody told me, I can't remember who, because with my parents it was always like pet store and ad in the newspaper.
The way that I thought that we were gonna get a dog, and I'm sure as well. Like if let's say we were to redo this, and I didn't have you around, and I were to talk to people about getting a dog, I'm sure that would be discussed or suggested. Like, oh, you can either rescue or you can either go to a registered breeder. Nowadays, I think with COVID too, there has been a lot of kind of dog scams.
Hmm.
So it was good that we went through this route.
Yeah.
Mm,
All right.
great
I think that's it for part one.
for part one.
Tune in next week for part two. Lots to talk about.
Yeah, I think that's the big big part, right? Like it's one thing to talk about what it's like to get a dog and the process of getting a dog, but it's a whole different ball game whenever you have a dog and deal with all of the nuances of not only having a dog but just having a change. And I think that's the kind of the theme is that it's a responsibility that it's a big responsibility.
And people don't think of that.
No,
A lot of people don't. Some
yeah,
people do.
like me and you,
Yeah.
but you were bracing yourself where like I said, I've never had a dog, right? So it was just yeah to have just being responsible for another I was gonna say human being, but it's just another living being.
Yeah.
It's a big deal, and I think that's just because I want to give Ralph the best life possible. So
Yeah.
and you're just preparing for all of the worst, and maybe it's just the parenting nature that I just want to just like anybody, they want to be good parents.
Yeah.
We give
Yeah.
him the best of everything.
Best doggy life.
Yeah, honestly, he's super spoiled. But we can
Yeah.
talk about that next
He's
week.
got a pretty good life.
Yeah,
All right. Well, tune in next week to hear about part two. Thanks, Hugh.
you're welcome. We'll see you next week.
See you next week. Well, I'll see you in like 2 minutes, but I'll
Okay.
also see you next week.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Boop.